So my wife Emily sent me this article about the TV show The Pitt. I love The Pitt. We love The Pitt in this household. We finna be in The Pitt every Thursday night. And this video is gonna be kind of reacting to this article, but it is also, I wanna tie it into the bigger sort of picture of how fans watch movies, watch TV shows. I know my audience, you might not care about a medical drama, The Pitt, even though it's really good. It's like the best show on TV right now. But you probably care about superhero movies and TV shows and sci-fi things and nerdy things and fantasy, like all that. You're probably a dork is what I'm saying. Let's dive into, it's this article here. Many The Pitt fans are proving that yes, it's possible to be bad at watching a TV show. This is something I have many opinions on. In the past, I don't think I would have agreed with this take. I would have said, you're watching a TV show, you're enjoying it, whatever you get out of it is what you get out of it, you know what I mean? Because maybe I would think of like authorial intent, like, oh, that's not really what the author of this work wanted, but you know what, if that's what you get from it, you know, whatever. But if this article is what I think it's saying, then I might have to agree with this, all right? So this is from Chris Evangelista over at /film. Over the course of 2 seasons, The Pitt has become wildly popular, and it's easy to see why. It's a damn good show. It is. Hell yeah. The ensemble cast is dynamic and talented, the writing is sharp, there's a sense of authenticity, and on top of all of that, the series values competency and empathy at a time when those things seem to be in short supply in the real world. For all those reasons and more, The Pitt has developed a very vocal, very passionate online fan base. And that's great. What's not so great, however, is the sneaking suspicion that some are watching the show incorrectly, or at the very least, demanding things that were never going to happen in the first place. This is something that I have experienced with the fandom in the first season of the show. There's 2 seasons out right now. They're a couple episodes away from finishing the 2nd season, which is why I think this article is really well timed, actually. So if you're not familiar with the premise of The Pitt, gosh, I should have started there. This is a medical drama. It takes place in Pittsburgh. So the format of the show is you're going through a shift, a hospital shift, the day shift. So every episode is 1 hour of that shift, followed by the next hour. So it'll start episode 1, 7 a.m., episode 2, 8 a.m. Kind of like the format of the show 24, but there's significantly less like torturing. And what's really fun about this show is it's just trying to be an accurate, like a very accurate medical drama, while also giving you these stories of these characters. So every season just takes place over the course of a day, and you're just watching these characters tackle the day's challenges. And not everything set up in the first episode is gonna come back at the end of the season, because that was like 14 hours ago. You know what I mean? A patient comes in at 7 a.m., they're probably gone by noon. You're never gonna see them again, because that's real. You don't really even see much more of the hospital than specifically the emergency department. The emergency department is where the show is. When characters leave the emergency department, the cameras do not follow them. This season, there was a character who had a deposition, and they were leading up to this deposition, and like I thought we were gonna watch it happen. Nope. That character goes up for an hour, comes back an hour later, we don't get to see it. You don't leave this part of the hospital. And so in that way, it's kind of accurate in the way that it's showing how doctors will see patients and treat them and move them along, either a different part of the hospital or to be discharged and whatnot, and you don't really follow up with them in the way that something like a Grey's Anatomy or even an ER back in the day. Emily and I watch a lot of medical dramas, so this is where this sort of mentality is coming from. Sometimes just like surgeons in Grey's Anatomy will do like checkups at someone's house, at a patient's house. They'll like drive there and be like, hey, something was off about that surgery I did. I thought of an idea actually. And that's just like not what happens. in real life. Now, before we go any further, I want to be clear. If you love The Pitt and find happiness in your obsession, I can't fault you. The Pitt is pop culture entertainment, and we all deserve to be distracted from the horrors of the real world by such things. I'm also not going to delve into the concept of shipping the show's various characters, that's a big one, which has become prominent among the fandom, because again, if that floats your boat, more power to you. I personally have no interest in that sort of thing, and I don't really think the show does either. What's troubling me, though, is that some viewers seem to be treating The Pitt like a puzzle to be solved. This right here. I'm banging my desk. My pointer finger is pointing at my desk and it's hitting it, and my finger's hurting because I'm doing it so hard that I hope the mic can pick it up. This is the issue. They approach the show the ways fans used to obsessively approach Lost, a mystery box series that became appointment viewing and seemingly broke everyone's TV watching brains in the process. Lost, I never watched Lost, actually. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because maybe it would have broken my brain. Lost was a series all about twists and shocking revelations, and it became such a cultural phenomenon that other shows rushed to copy its formula. I bring this up all the time, but does anyone remember the show called The Event?
What the hell is that?
The Event was, I believe, on NBC, and it was exactly this. It was like every episode they try to do a weird twist about aliens and like planes disappearing out of the sky. At no point did they explain like which one of these events was the event. And so you're watching being like, well, if that's not the event, then what's the event? The event must be a bigger twist than this. And the show went nowhere. I think it lasted one season because it just wasn't good. It was just all twists. It was just distilled twist. At least some people are saying they've seen The Event. At least one single person. The Pitt is not a mystery box show. Sure, there are twists and turns, and the ticking clock nature of each season makes the end of almost every episode feel like a cliffhanger. Yeah, 100%. I think that is fair. The way that the show ends, like right on the hour, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And the way that they always conveniently, it's good writing, end at a point where you're like, no, just one more minute, please. I want to see what happens in this next minute, please. I think that's just good writing, but it does make it makes every episode feel like a cliffhanger. And when everything feels like a cliffhanger, then it probably does feel like there's something to solve, something to put together. But some fans view The Pitt as some sort of difficult problem they have to outsmart. I don't want to single any specific person out here, so I'll try to be vague, but if you search Twitter/X or Instagram or social media platforms in general, you will come across Pitt fans undergoing what seems to be some sort of mass delusion. This is huge. I'm sure they're going to talk about the season 2, but I want to give you an example from season 1. I'm going to get into some spoilers here for season 1, but again, this show isn't about twists and turns. Spoilers aren't really a thing in this show. You just watch people go about their day doing their doctor work, and it's just fun to watch them and interesting to watch them because they're good characters. So I'm going to give you a spoiler warning, but I don't think this show has spoilers. I think it just has a story, you know what I mean? Or multiple stories that happen every season. So in the first season, the charge nurse, Dana, is attacked by a disgruntled, patient who's been waiting in the waiting room in chairs, as we say, they're waiting in chairs if you know your medical lingo. Hours and hours. They've been here from since the first episode of the show. They're still here halfway through the season, and they have not been treated yet. And because there are more important, more dire, urgent cases that need to come through. And he's getting more and more upset. And he's also a bit of a racist and a bit of a misogynist and just like a bigot in general. He's an asshole. The actor's great though. And he finally has enough. And he sucker punches Dana, who we love. Dana is mother. We all love Dana. Just right in her eye. And then he walks off and he is never seen again. Now, also in this first season, there is a separate storyline involving a troubled teen whose mom is worried that he has a hit list of young women that he might want to hurt. I guess I should have more so done a content warning than a spoiler warning, so apologies for that. So his mom, brings him into the hospital under false pretenses and is basically like, I'm worried my son is going to hurt someone at his school. And then In a third storyline, the big sort of climactic event of the season is there is a like mass casualty event at a festival. To fans' credit, everyone, even in the show, is thinking, well, it's obviously this kid, right? This kid left the hospital, and then there was a mass shooting event, and he's nowhere to be found. And everyone, including some of the characters on the show, are like, it was probably the kid, right? Now, that's fine to believe, because again, the show is setting it up like that. The show is saying even some of the characters believe that this is the case. What was just out of nowhere was everyone else saying, hey, you remember that patient that was really disgruntled and killed the nurse? I bet he went to this festival that we've never heard him talk about in this show, and then used that disgruntled energy to also just shoot up a bunch of random people in a mass casualty event. Huh? What? Where did that come from? Why do you think it? Because everything has to be a twist, right? So they're like, oh, it has to mean something. The shooter must have been someone that we've seen before in the show. Which, like, all right, yeah, I get that. This is supposed to be a very realistic show. And the way that the show handles it is by saying, we just don't know. The shooter was someone random. Like, we've never met them before. This is not a person that we've introduced. It is someone who wasn't at the hospital this day, because that would be very convenient if they were, and we got to meet them. It is a random person, because this sort of stuff is just sadly common in America. It just happens. But what? Everyone's out here thinking Doug Driscoll, the disgruntled guy, just like punched a nurse and then decided, all right, time to go shoot up a festival. What planet are you on? I feel like I'm missing some stops on the train of thought there. Yeah, 100%. And let's continue with the article. The Pitt season 2 has a running narrative about how Noah Wiley's Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich has become suicidal. Gosh, I should have had more content warnings. I didn't read this article. This has led many fan theories about whether or not Robbie will die by the time this season ends. For those who are unfamiliar, Robbie is like, if the show has a main character, he's the main character, which I wouldn't put it past him. I've seen the entire season, this writer says, and while I don't want to give away any spoilers, I feel that's a rather huge leap to make. Yes, people die on the Pitt. It's set in a hospital emergency room, but it's not really the type of show to bump main characters off like The Sopranos, or again, Lost, which killed main characters left and right. There are two camps of people who watch The Pitt. There are people who watch it because it's just a really good show, and it's really well made. And maybe this is their first medical drama they've ever seen, and they don't even really like medical dramas, they're just watching it because it's a really good show. And then there are other people who have been completely spoiled by things like Grey's Anatomy, or even later seasons of ER, which the show was originally supposed to be a spin-off of. I have to mention it, because if I don't, people are gonna tell me in the comments, like, did you know this? Yes, I did. Those shows, especially Grey's Anatomy, would do the most wild things. Like, this patient has an active bomb inside of them, and the surgeons need to cut it out without making it trigger and blow up everyone who's working on this patient. That's a real one, and that's from an early season of Grey's Anatomy. So just imagine how weird it is right now. They're making up whole procedures that don't exist. So anyway, I think those are some fans who exist who are watching this show, and they are expecting twists, they're expecting shenanigans, they're expecting characters to die left and right. To quote another Pitt, Brad Pitt in Moneyball, wait, I have a censored button, I believe, right? What the are you talking about, man? Did you even hear that beep? Oh yeah, you can hear the beep. The Pitt is not that type of show. Does the show foreshadow things to come? Absolutely. My favorite example, I'm going off script here, is I just love the waiting room. When you look at the waiting room in the hospital, in the early episodes of the show, you can point to any one of those patients and be like, we're gonna see them in like 8 episodes. And that's awesome. That's the nature of TV drama. But is the Pitt dropping clues that it wants its audience to solve like a puzzle box from Hellraiser? No, it's not. Oh, there's a third camp of the show, the people who are waiting to see Dr. Santos fall in a big pile of horse poop.
That is one big pile of shit.
This is another thing I want to get into as well. I love Dr. Santos. I think she's a very well-written character, and I understand that people who have talked to in real life about the show are just like, I hate her. And I'm like, you're not supposed to like her. That's what makes her so great. And we'll get into it, because there's a character on ER who is one of my, it's hard to say he's my favorite character, but he's one of my favorites because of how much of an absolute, I was gonna swear, but I have a beep button, how much of an absolute he is. If this gets edited to a video, I hope that isn't annoying, that beep. Just replace the beep with something else. Santos, I thought, was infuriating at the start because she wanted to be like the funny, quippy one, and just they didn't write good jokes for her. And like, you can be a character who's like kind of, you know, a little rapscallion who's always quipping jokes, but the jokes have to be good. And if the jokes aren't good, then it just comes across as annoying. And I think the jokes have gotten better. I think mostly toward the end of the first season and like right at the start of the second season, they were quite good. And they've sort of fallen off a little bit, so I could see that. The Pitt's characters are intentionally complex and flawed, and that's part of what makes the show interesting. Wait, how long is this article? Oh, okay, most of this is just other stuff. I saw the scroll bar over here and I was like, no way this article is that long. It's like, no, there's just other stuff. You guys want to read 12 canceled comic book movies we're glad were never made? Do you want to guys hear about Jack Black? Oh, it just keeps going. I don't even have to click on the article. It just keeps going. What a time to be alive. At the risk of poking the bear, another great show, by the way, I should also address the fandom's reaction to any slight perceived or otherwise of their favorite characters. At one point during season 2, Dr. Santos dozed off at a desk while trying to compose some charting notes. This led Dr. Robbie to firmly, but not cruelly, wake her up by raising his voice. This action was seen as tantamount to homicide on Twitter. Oh my God. Some claiming Robbie was abusing his staff. To be sure, Robbie has problems. He's a complex character, and a running theme in this show is how he's falling apart emotionally. But seemingly every character on the Pitt is complex and flawed in some way, and that's what makes them interesting. Even if you prefer Santos to Robbie, an attending physician reprimanding one of his doctors for being asleep on the job is not the war crime some people make it out to be. I will say, this season, at least so far, we have a couple episodes left, but I really feel like they are hammering home how much Robbie is falling apart, how much he went from, in season 1, being this like really kind of badass mentor to everyone, and then falling apart a little bit in the one of the later episodes of season 1 as his trauma sort of caught up to him, and then still sort of rising to the occasion, which he felt was like showed that he was weak, but I think other people hopefully showed him was like really strong, that you can confront your trauma and still get up and continue throughout the day. I think that's awesome. This season, Robbie's kind of an asshole. Oh, I did it without the bleep. Oh well. And it's intentional though, right? It's to show how frustrated he's getting with his situation and... Recently, it was revealed that Supriya Ganesh's Dr. Samira Mohan, who I love, by the way, would not be returning for the Pitt Season 3. This news has not gone over well, to say the least. While I can understand being disappointed in seeing Ganesh go, which I am, I'm disappointed. Disappointed! The reaction among fans has been borderline unhealthy, with many fans taking the ire out on Noah Wyle, the actor, who serves as a producer on the show as well as a star. But Mohan's departure isn't completely out of left field. Yeah, her entire arc... Sorry, he's about to say the exact words I was about to. Her entire arc has been based around the idea that working in fast-paced emergency medicine may not be the best fit for her. The season 1... she had the nickname Slow-Mo, right? From Mohan, Slow-Mo, Dr. Mohan's Dr. Slow Mohan. Her nickname was Slow-Mo because she couldn't handle the pace. Or rather, she just preferred to have like a slower pace with her patients because it would help her catch more discrepancies, more inconsistencies, more details that could help diagnose a case or just help a patient in general. And that's just sort of her style. And in this season, she's still like that. There's a new doctor, Dr. Al-Hashimi, takes Mohan aside and says, you'd be really great in geriatric medicine, working with those patients because you have a very like rigorous approach to trying to diagnose and find all of these details. It's very nice. It's a very nice thought. And then a couple episodes later, Noah Wyle's character, Dr. Robbie, says the same thing to Dr. Mohan, but in a way that sucks. It just sucks. Rather than say, hey, great work with that patient, you did great, you're very detail-oriented, like, you would be really great in this field. He says, like, oh, you'd be great into going to go into geriatric medicine because the pace would suit you better. So, like, he meant it as a compliment, but it is extremely clear, especially how she took it in that moment, that was a huge insult. He also, I mean, not to mention how Robbie absolutely just snapped at her in an earlier episode about like she was having stress from just family issues, and she was having a panic attack, and Robbie basically just said like, hey, if you're gonna have a panic attack, go home. Like, you don't bring outside stress into here. This is a wall between us and the outside world. You're not allowed to get stressed. And he like even called it like mommy issues or something like that. And it's like, he was just flying off the handle. It was too much. But again, that's the writing of the character Dr. Robbie this season. He is falling apart emotionally, and he's doing a lot of stuff that is hurting, largely unintentionally hurting, his students. Oh yeah, Dr. Mohan's departure isn't completely out of left field. Her entire character arc has been based around the idea that working in fast-paced emergency medicine may not be the best fit for her. On top of that, she's also been a supporting player in the Pitt saga, and yet some fans are acting like having Mohan leave the show is some sort of irredeemable mistake that will bring the series to its knees. I love Dr. Mohan. I think she's great. She's a very different, ironically, or I guess not ironically, I guess very fittingly, she is quite a different pace from all the other characters in the show. I like that she's very detail-oriented with her patients. I like that she has a slower approach, and that's like refreshing when everyone else is moving so fast. So I will miss that part of it, but again, like that, the character can't handle the fast pace. Like the emergency department is fast-paced, so it fits the character to leave. I enjoy Ganesh's performance and will miss Mohan, but I also think the show can survive without her. I think it can. There are so many. There's not like, this is a show that doesn't have like 5 characters, right? In season 1, you're following the day shift. And then in like the last 3 episodes, they transition over to the night shift is there, but the day shift still stays because there's a mass casualty event. And the night shift also comes in to like help relieve and help with that because it's also the start of their shift. And you meet, just in the night shift alone, you meet like 5 or 6 people in the last 3 episodes of this season that everyone was immediately obsessed with, rightfully so. Including me, including Emily, they just swing in a handful of brand new characters who feel like they've been there since the beginning. Everyone is so cool in this show. Everyone is cool. Dr. Shen nursing his iced Duncan. I love him. Dr. Ellis. There's a couple surgeons who I love. One of them was only there in the last season. They're not there this season. There's the other charge nurse who had a bigger role this season, thankfully. Like, they're just so good. It got to a point where right now, the biggest thing that the Pitt fans are asking for, forever, I think universally, is the way that the show is working right now. We're following the day shift, but we love the night shift so much. We love the night shift so much, and we get like 3 episodes with them, maybe 4 if we're lucky. We love them so much. We need a season of the Pitt that starts right as the day shift is about to take off, to clock out. But then there's something like someone proposed on TikTok, like there's an ice storm that like traps them all in the hospital. So the day shift can't leave. And so we're actually on the night shift with all the night shift people is awesome. And again, that's just the handful of night shift people that come in. You meet all of the day shift people, from the student doctors to the actual attendings and the residences and the nurses, of course. That's a thing that I've complained about to Emily a lot, is so many medical dramas do not care about nurses. Nurses are set dressing, whereas in this show, nurses are main characters, and that's awesome. In fact, in season 2 of The Pitt, they had an entire episode just about how important nurses are. Like, it wasn't heavy-handed. It was just that every nurse on the show who's named, which is a lot of them, got to have their own little moment to like show that how important they are in the whole structure and the hospital. And it's just so cool. There's so many characters in this show, and they're all awesome. Yeah, the reality aspect makes it difficult when logically characters would be clocking out at some point throughout the season without much reason for them to be tied back until next season. Absolutely. And some characters do. There's a new character this season, Dr. Joy. She clocked out. She's gone for the rest of the season. As far as we know, I don't think there's going to be another mass casualty event. She clocked out. She's gone for the season. And she had like such a healthy mentality about it too. She was like, I am not going to burn myself out on this place. It is my first day. I'm setting a boundary. this is when I can legally clock out. Like my shift is over. And everyone's like, yeah, well, don't you want to stay and help a little bit? And she's like, no, I'm out of here. And she's great. Oh, this is, yeah, on ER, Joy would 100% come back later on a stretcher because she got hit by a car for being too cool and independent. 100%. They'd be like, no one clocks out early on this show. No one clocks out on time on this show. You're coming back in as a patient, baby. Noah Wyle and company also appear to be well aware of certain fan backlash bubbling up around the edges of the show. Which, by the way, can I just say, Noah Wyle seems like just the absolute biggest sweetheart in the world. He just seems like he's trying to make an old school TV show in this new modern era. And he's doing his dang best, and it's so good, and he's doing good at it, and he's trying to be online, because that's how you market a show these days. He's trying his best, but it does just come across as a dad who discovered what a meme is, and it's so wholesome and great, and I love that about him. I just hate that in trying to do so, in trying to be online, he's encountered things that would kill a Victorian child, for sure. In a recent Junket interview, Wiley said, "I think audiences have become sophisticated in a whole new way when watching a show. They're watching the show that we're making, and they have another show that they're making." Oh, that's such a good quote, dude. Where's the button? Where's the button? That's it, man. And when that show doesn't align with the show they're making, they don't like it as much. Because they thought you were taking it where they're taking it. 100%. I used to work with some people who made a lot of theories about stuff, movies and TV shows and things like that. And we had many conversations about how they would put so much energy and so much emotion into crafting these theories that when they would actually watch the movie or TV show and it came out that their theory that they created was wrong, they admitted, it makes me not like the movie as much. I get disappointed because I think I'm right and then I'm proven wrong. Specifically, I remember they were talking about Avengers Endgame and everyone was speculating about that. I don't think I was necessarily speculating. I just wanted to see how it ended. But I remember they made so many videos trying to speculate, here's how Endgame is going to resolve, and here's what's going to happen, and here's the plot and everything like that. And then when it didn't happen, they walked away just really upset. They were like, I put so much time and energy into making these theories, and they're not true. And now I feel cheated out of a movie that I made up in my head that I wanted to see, even though it wouldn't have been as good as the actual one. I just really wanted to be right. And this is the sort of thing that I really wanted to get into. I've seen so many people have that mentality to the point where some people creating TV shows and creating movies will try and make things so much, not try to, they will accidentally make their story so much worse because they are trying to weave around what they think fans will speculate. They'll try to be like, oh, well, if we do this, then the fans probably think it's going to be this. There's going to be fan theories about this, but we can't have them guess the twist, so we have to create an even twistier twist to do this. And I'm trying so hard not to name names, mostly because I just don't want the backlash of it, of the fandom. It's mostly the fandom I don't want the backlash of. The turf queen J.K. Rowling, right? J.K. Rowling, whatever. I don't even know how to. I don't like Harry Potter. I never read it. But I think we could all agree that those Fantastic Beasts movies were absolute garbage. At least the other one. The first one I didn't care. But then the other two were absolute trash. Because all she was trying to do was try and outsmart fans by creating foreshadowing that would never pay off, and then creating twists that didn't work. Because it was always just about trying to be one step ahead of the fans. Writers are so scared of effective foreshadowing, I feel. Some of them are. Not all. I don't want to say all, because then if someone says, ooh, I called it, it's like, yeah, good on you, right? You read correctly. Is anything I'm saying making sense? Basically what I'm saying, there's a subset of fans who are just obsessed with being like, I called it. I can read the tea leaves, I know where this story is going, and I called it. And I get frustrated with those people because rather than saying I called it, you could also just say, hey, this writer wrote very effective foreshadowing and I was able to follow it. And that's cool. There are other people who will read foreshadowing and make predictions and then get upset because they're like, oh, I was expecting a twistier twist because this twist that I already came up with in my head. Oh, I already knew that was going to come, so I was expecting the twistier twist. And they get upset. I think Steven Universe is a really great example of this. Emily can speak to that more than I can, of a fandom sort of figuring out what the twist was going to be because Rebecca Sugar and the likes all like put effective foreshadowing in the series so that if you were paying attention, you could figure it out. And people were like, why didn't you come up with a twistier twist? We already figured this out. It's like, because it fit the story. The story was always leading here. I'm glad you figured it out. We're not gonna zigzag. The story was always going here. And then there are the writers who, again, are so worried about fans being like, I called it, that they have to just weave and zigzag and they have to try and be one step ahead. And it's like, you don't have to be. You can just write a story, and if people figure out where it's going because you put in effective foreshadowing, then that's good. That's good for both of you. You're a good writer, and the reader or viewer is good at that too. Writing isn't a competition between the reader and the writer. At least I don't think it is. It's an exchange. It's not a contest to see who's the more clever of the two. Can I just read this again? Can we all just like internalize this for a second? I think audiences have become sophisticated in a whole new way when watching a show. They're watching the show that we're making, and they have another show that they're making. And when that show doesn't align with the show that you're making, they don't like it as much because they thought you were taking it where they're taking it. No one has understood this more. For years, I've wanted to make a video about this exact thing, and Noah Wyle puts it in like 2 sentences. What a legend. I love him. The actor isn't knocking fans, but he is correctly pointing out that they seem to be approaching the show in a way that the showrunners had not intended. The Pitt fandom didn't invent this concept, of course. Fandoms have long been, say, passionate about certain shows they hold dear. That's what I'm talking about. But week after week, the online reaction to The Pitt seems to be a mixture of well-deserved praise and certain viewers complaining that the series isn't doing exactly what they want it to do. Without spoiling anything, I can say I'm almost positive the season 2 finale is going to leave some people disappointed. Not because it's bad, it's not, but because so many viewers seem to be anticipating something that was never going to happen to begin with. Just to circle back on something that they pointed out earlier about like, is Robbie going to die? Will Robbie die? I don't think that's an unfounded question. They've sowed a lot of seeds of this question of like, is Robbie suicidal this season? Is he going to return? In fact, as I'm recording this right now, the last thing that he said in an episode was, what if I don't come back? Because he's talking about he's going to have a sabbatical. He's going to go, ride around for 3 months on his motorcycle. And he's not wearing a helmet when he's riding that motorcycle, and everyone keeps reminding him of that, and he's like, I don't really want to. And they also had this whole thing about this is the problem when I'm not scripting stuff, it's that doctrine of dual effect or something like that. Someone correct me in the comments, where Robbie was talking about like, when a patient wants more pain medications, we can give them a higher dose than what is safe. And they might have other side effects that could kill them. And we do that knowing that it could kill them, and the patients do it knowing that it could kill them because it makes them more comfortable. It's just one of those like informed consent sort of situations. And some people online have pointed out, and I think this is just astute. I don't think this is a theory. I think it's astute that it sort of speaks to what Robbie might be feeling with himself. Like, maybe he doesn't actively want to kill himself. I need to get better at like the TikTok speak. I know I gotta start saying like unalive if I don't want to be. I'm so old school. I just say what comes out of my mouth. Anyway, there's this idea that Robbie might not actively want to unalive himself.
Great job.
But he wouldn't be disappointed if he ended up dead. So riding a motorcycle without his helmet is something that he knows is unsafe, and if it kills him, maybe not the worst thing in his head, in his mind, but he's not actively seeking it out. But like, is it a serious thing? Will Robbie die? Will he not return the next season? I don't buy it. Noah Wiley's such a huge part of the show. It's a mindset worth exploring, like just his mindset of like, clearly he's thinking about this. He's thinking about setting up all of his students for success, volunteering them for surgeries that they otherwise have passed on because he wants them to be successful and he wants to like leave a legacy. He's doing a lot of stuff this season that is like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave this place better than I found it, which is a weird thing to do if you're planning on coming back. I don't think the show is actually going to kill him off. I want to be clear about that. I agree with this article. They're not going to do that. But I think it's interesting to explore his thought process, sort of through that lens. It is something that he seems to be thinking about. The character seems to be thinking about. And Santos has Emily, you're right. Santos has a similar exploration this season too. We're learning a lot about Santos. We're learning a lot about her mental health. And I think that's sort of the interesting thing too, is that everyone seems to be focused. And I mean, in the show, a lot of people seem to be focused on Robbie and his well-being and like, is he going to come back? Is he having thoughts? And no one's really picking up on Santos. The audience knows, but the characters haven't picked up anything really about Santos. Whitaker has a little bit. This whole thing speaks to a broader thing that I kind of want to talk about too. In seeking out all of these twists and trying to trick the audience and trying to blow their minds by being 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of them to a point where it doesn't really make sense. The story doesn't make sense anymore because you want to try and always outsmart your audience, which is just a terrible way to write anything. In doing so, there seems to be, in my opinion, a sort of slow death of dramatic irony. I think it's actually really cool when the audience knows something that characters don't. And so I think that's what's really interesting about Santos this season is we know how much she's suffering. We've seen her scars. We understand her mentality a little bit more in a way that none of the other characters do. It's cool to know things about characters or about scenarios that other characters don't. Dramatic irony is actually pretty rad. It got canceled and then is coming back in a weird way, but Emily and I loved the show Poker Face by Rian Johnson, which is basically just modern Columbo. They show you a murder in every episode, or a crime of some kind, mostly murders, and they show you the villain who did it and how they did it. And then the episode really starts. And you're following Charlie, the main character, as she learns about a murder that's happened and tries to solve it. You as an audience already know the answers. The fun part is watching her get to the same conclusions as you. And you're just like, ooh, she's gonna do this. Ooh, she's gonna find that. Ooh, and the villain left this clue behind. And it's like so fun to watch someone figure out something that you already know. It's just so fun. And I love dramatic irony. It's just so fun. And I feel like in this era where writers are so scared of readers or viewers or what have you, audiences, figuring out the twist. It's always twist after twist. You gotta keep them guessing. They're so scared of the audience figuring it out that like this tool that's really so fun in dramatic irony has just fallen by the wayside because like then what are people gonna make theory videos about on YouTube if they already have all the information in front of them? That's content, baby. We need that content. That's just frustrating. Hey, did any of this make sense? Was any of this cohesive? I didn't know there was a Jack Black Green Lantern movie. That's kind of fun. All right, we'll end it wherever my scroll wheel ends up because this is just an infinitely scrolling thing. Oh, sorry to people with photosensitivity. Ghost Rider! What even is this article? This is a fun... never mind. I was going to say, this is a fun game. We just figure out what the article is supposed to be. Thanks for watching. Maybe this is a video, maybe it's not. Follow this channel and Twitch. Follow me on Twitch and all that good stuff as well. We're going to do live streams, trying to, every Wednesday. It's now 7 p.m., so I should probably do dinner with my wife and child. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Support me on Patreon if you want to help me afford a second monitor. And it would make these live streams a lot easier. Otherwise, thanks so much. Bye-bye.